Let's talk about one of the most exciting and frankly challenging business landscapes in all of South Asia, Bangladesh. It's a country just buzzing with incredible opportunity, but it's also filled with some serious hurdles. So, what's the secret to not just surviving, but actually thriving in a market that's booming this fast? Well, let's dive in and find out.
Okay, let's start with a number that really sets the stage. 450 billion with a B, US dollars. Just let that sink in for a second. That's the scale we're dealing with here.
But what does a number like that even mean? Well, it's not just a statistic on a page. It's the economic heartbeat of Bengali right now, in 2024. It tells the story of a nation that is rapidly becoming a manufacturing powerhouse, a hub for services, and a real hotbed for new, innovative ideas.
And it's not just about the sheer size of the economy, it's about how it's structured. Check this out. Over 290,000 registered companies. That tells you the business landscape is maturing, and it's maturing fast. This isn't the Wild West anymore. Things like strategy, good governance, and, playing by the rules are now absolutely crucial for success. But this is where the story takes a turn. Because with all that opportunity and all that explosive growth, a whole new set of challenges starts to bubble up. It's the classic case of growing pains, really, but on a massive, national scale.
So that brings us to the big question, right? If you're an entrepreneur or a company on the ground, what does all this complexity actually look and feel like? What are the real, tangible roadblocks that can stop a promising business dead in its tracks?
And here they are, the usual suspects. Think of regulatory coordination as trying to navigate a maze of government offices where everyone has their own rulebook. Documentation discipline? Oh, that's just the mountain of paperwork where one tiny mistake can cost you big time. And then you've got operational gaps and the huge risk of picking the wrong local partner. Seriously, any one of these can be a total dead end.
Now, it's in this kind of messy, complex environment that a certain kind of professional really finds their purpose. To get through this maze, businesses are turning more and more to consultants, looking for a blueprint, a map to guide them through the chaos.
So, what are we really talking about here when we say business consultancy? At its core, it's a super structured service. It's not just about some expert giving you vague advice. It's about diagnosing problems, spotting opportunities, and, this is the most important part, actually implementing changes that lead to real, measurable results you can see.
And this is the absolute key takeaway. The real value isn't some fancy report that just sits on a shelf collecting dust. No, it's in the execution. A great consultant helps you skip all that expensive trial and error by taking all that market uncertainty and turning it into a clear, step-by-step, actionable plan.
All right, to make this really hit home, let's look at a real-world example. We're going to zoom in on one particular firm to see exactly how this works in practice, right there in the Bangladeshi market.
In a super competitive market like this one, there are a few consulting firms that are really making a name for themselves, and they're doing it by focusing on what truly matters. Practical, hands-on support for growth, especially for businesses that are trying to go global. One of them is pretty interesting.
Now, have a look at this. You've got the usual suspects at the top, right? The global giants, KPMG, EY. No surprise there. But look who's right there in third place. A local firm, Trade and Investment Bangladesh, or TNIB. And it's their focus that's so telling. SME growth, export support, digital marketing. They are laser-focused on the real engine of the Bangladeshi economy.
And this quote from them really says it all. The key word here is empowers. They're all about giving businesses the tools and the roadmap to navigate that complex landscape we were just talking about. They're positioning themselves not just as a service you hire, but as a real partner in your corner.
So who's the driving force behind this kind of focused, effective consultancy? Well, like with any great company, it all comes down to the people and the real-world experience they bring to the table. And the founder's journey is the perfect example. He started out at the SME Foundation, working directly with small and medium-sized businesses. From there, he moved into a major role at the Dhaka Chamber of Commerce, one of the most powerful trade bodies in the entire country. You see, this isn't just knowledge from a textbook. It's deep, hands-on, in-the-trenches experience, which he's now channeling into his own firm.
So how do they actually turn all that experience into a service for their clients? Well, they've built their whole approach around these 4 pillars. It starts with that core business consultancy, but then they layer in the absolute essentials for today's world: IT services and digital marketing, plus other specialized support. It's a complete, holistic approach built for the modern economy. This chart tells a really interesting story. Just look at the balance here. Business strategy and digital and IT are given the exact same weight, and a full quarter of their focus is dedicated to export enablement. This just shows you they get it. In today's world, your digital presence is every bit as important as your business plan, especially if you have dreams of expanding internationally.
And that right there brings us to the ultimate prize for so many of these companies. The real path to sustainable, long-term success, it often lies far beyond the borders of Bangladesh. Because look, for a growing brand or a manufacturer, mastering the export game is everything. It's the difference between being a successful local player and becoming a true global contender. It's the key to diversification and achieving real massive scale.
And here's the secret sauce. True success in exporting isn't about getting lucky with a few big one-off orders. No way. It's about building a machine, a set of repeatable processes for everything from your paperwork to your shipping that turns exporting into a reliable, stable, and predictable source of income. Now that is a game changer.
And all of this leaves us with one final thought, a question for anyone out there running a business, whether it's in Bangladesh or anywhere else in the world. Are you actively building a strategic plan for growth, a system for success, or are you just kind of passively taking orders as they happen to come in? The answer to that question, well, it could define your entire future.